It takes up to 6 hours to learn the technical side, but it takes years to adjust the mental side, the psychology behind trading. Hey there, Tamir from Fibonacci-Traders.com here with the daily market recap. Please hit the like, subscribe, share with friends, and without any further ado, let's see the charts. Meta earnings came out, price reaction, market reaction, 233.75, almost 10% to the upside. After hours, now all we have to do is wait and see if bulls can take advantage of this momentum and go all the way inside this gap, this void, and close the gap at the 316. All we have to do, look at the price, follow it, and use levels to manage our risk. SPY another trend day to the downside. Bear trend day broke below the 405.60, now 402.40, and then 400, and this gap to the downside. More than 80% of all gaps will get filled, and it looks like SPY is going to fill this gap. Follow price, and we have the levels to the downside for future support. QQQ tried to get back above the 315 area, failed. Inside day, inside candle, which means indecision in the market. If the market cannot decide, we surely cannot decide. Can we get a bounce back above the 315 and then 317, maybe 322 to the upside, or are we going to fill this gap at the 308? In my opinion, and it's only my opinion, this gap will get filled by the end of this week, because it needs to get filled for bulls to gain enough power for next leg up. And of course, it's only my opinion. Never follow blindly anyone on social media. Paid, free services. You can get ideas, learn, education. But in the end of the day, it's all up to you. It's your own due diligence. There is no wrong or right. It's only what works for you. So you need to know, what are you? A day trader, swing trader, long-term holder? What is your method? What is your strategy? What are your rules? You need your own rules. IWM 170 to the downside now. Once again is holding. We can see here it was a very important level of support. Also here, very important level of support. Now let's see if this level of support can hold IWM price once again. Failing to do so, 167 and 162 back to the downside. Dow Jones, bulls gave up on the 335 area. Now 332 needs to hold. Otherwise, this gap will get filled, and then we have 326 to the downside, and we have another small gap over here. Bitcoin, perfect example of why trend lines are the true support resistance for price action, and they are also the roadmap to the future. Once we understand the true relationship between candlestick analysis and trend lines, no other indicators are truly needed. Not even Fibonacci, not volume, nothing. Why? If you follow me on Twitter and you saw previous videos, you already know these trend lines. And here we are once again. From resistance to support, resistance, support, and resistance once again. Breaking to the upside, you guessed it. It's going towards this red trend line over here. Breaking below this trend line, we are going towards the orange and maybe the yellow one. Learn candlestick analysis and the relationship with price action, and then you will be able to trade any security that you want. Crypto, Forex, stocks, ETFs, on any time frame. Ethereum, 1930 to the upside, very tough resistance. It was a resistance over here. Now, once again, resistance. 1800 to the downside. Very important support because all this 1800, 1830 was a very important level of resistance over here. Breaking to the downside, all we have to do is follow the levels to manage our risk as future support. Breaking above the 1930, 2060 and maybe 2150 back to the upside. SMH, inside candle, indecision. We need to wait and see where price will take us next. Breaking below the 238, in my opinion, we are going to retest this yellow trend line once again. This yellow trend line from resistance to support. So if 238 will break to the downside, this area of the 230 together with this yellow trend line is next support. Microsoft, good reaction from market, but as you can see, trend lines are the true support resistance, and they are also the roadmap for future price action. Good reaction, gap to the upside all the way to this red trend line. And you know this red trend line because you saw previous videos and you follow me on Twitter. So this red trend line is not stranger to you. And here we are, doji of this red trend line. Now let's see if bulls can break up and above towards the 316, or we have this gap to the downside, and we know that more than 80% of all gaps will get filled. So stay tuned for further price action on Microsoft. If you're not long yet on Microsoft, sit on hands and wait because we have a gap to the downside. If you're long on Microsoft, in my opinion, this is a very good time to manage your risk more tightly. Google basically continuing to move sideways. 103 support, breaking to the downside, 101 and maybe 99.70 to the downside. And we have a slight gap over here. All this area is acting as a very tough resistance. For now, nothing special on Google, not on the short side, not on the long side. All we have to do is sit and see where price takes us. Short continuation below 103. Long continuation above 107, above this gap. Amazon, stay tuned for Amazon earnings coming up tomorrow, Thursday, after the bell. 104, struggling to hold, as you can see, because it was a very tough resistance. Now bulls wants to defend this line because they know if they fail, this red trend line is next. And if market reaction will be on the bad side of the bed, this trend line will get broken to the downside, and then we have all the levels to the downside to manage risk. Good reaction, this trend line will get broken to the upside, maybe all the way towards this red trend line. Apple, another day, another doji. This trend line got broken, it's not relevant anymore, but 162 needs to hold. Otherwise, you guessed it, we have this gap to the downside on the 158. If 162 will get broken to the downside, we are going to fill this gap over here. Tesla finally going inside this void towards the gap at the 146 area, as we expected since end of March, as we identified this trend line as a very tough resistance because it was support. Now it was very tough resistance, and we said that once Tesla will break below the 160, 171 and the 165 to the downside, this gap will get filled. On the positive side, we have a gap to the upside, but this gap will get filled. And then we have 133 and maybe all the way towards this gap at the 122. For now, very big, massive double top scenario on Tesla, this gap and this gap to the downside, in my opinion, will get filled before we can see any bounce on Tesla. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the like, subscribe, share with friends, will be much appreciated. Don't forget to check the links in the description below for more educational resources. Until the next video, do good things.